Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of RevTalks. Today we're joined with Patrick at Matrix Software. How's it going today, Patrick?
Doing great. Thank you.
Of course, appreciate you taking some time out of your day to join up on here. Would you mind giving us a little bit of a high-level overview about Matrix Software, a little about what you guys do and who you are as the actual CEO?
Yeah. So Matrix Software, we're focused on helping companies improve their kind of operational efficiency by creating platforms that allow them to consolidate fragmented systems, optimize workflows, kind of have everybody, staff, customers, users all working out of one place so that companies can run more efficient and, be able to optimize those workflows, automations, AI, all that stuff to really accelerate those business capabilities.
And so right now you're actually, as we can tell, the CEO. What are some of your main kind of initiatives that you're doing every single day in terms
Yeah.
of whether it's marketing, sales, technical, product development team? What does that kind of look like for you?
All the above. I'm your typical chief everything officer for sure right now. So, um, but a little background on kind of where we are and what we're trying to do as a company. And so, um, my history goes back 20 years in kind of corporate America, software development, building really complex operational systems, and started my own company about 5 years ago. A couple opportunities to jump into some pretty interesting companies, a national chain of martial arts, it's actually a tax collection firm that's in Houston, paint protection film. I started taking that kind of experience and building operational systems across these different industries. Even have a baseball league in Colorado, and same kind of similar problems across all of these different systems, different environments, people, staff jumping across different tools, and they're trying to look for how to make it better. And so we've spent on kind of a multi-year journey on all these different companies. And at the end of the day, all of these companies have now a single platform where they get to control it. We meet with them, every day or every week, talking about what's the next feature, what's the next opportunity, and some really transformational kind of systems. And so we've done that about a half a dozen different companies. And what I realized about a year and a half ago is although that's a great story, it's not super scalable because you're looking at all these different companies all the time. Each one has different priorities and roadmaps, and an innovation over here doesn't translate to a company over there. And so what I decided about a year ago is to build a platform. So instead of moving from a traditional software provider where I build softwares as custom, it's like, well, let's take the learnings of all of this and build a platform that's configurable. And so we create a platform called My Business Workspace. You can go out there and take a look at it, but it's ultimately the idea of take all of the common core pillars of what companies need: a CRM, billing and payments, operations management, staff login, all those different kind of core pillars. They're not that much different depending on what industry you are. But what's different is the operations. Are you retail? Or you do subscriptions? Do you do inventory? Do you do all those things? So we've created a platform with all of those capabilities where you can just turn on and off the features that you need. So we don't have to keep solving the problem multiple times. We can create one platform, solve that, and then have it available for everybody with just a simple on-off switch. So um, essentially, we're working with companies across a pretty wide variety of verticals, trying to understand, their particular problems. How do we make them more efficient? But at the same time, how do you engineer a platform where that feature comes in as a on-off feature for the next person in the next company to work on?
Nice. So
So
you guys are moving from more custom development for fulfillment for customers to more kind of a streamlined product and
yeah,
systematizing that kind of
e-
journey. Are you guys still
exactly.
currently running the actual custom offerings and having
Yeah.
custom clients?
We still have the platforms we've built, or shifting away from that because again, the coordination and the overhead, and again, innovations within those companies don't translate. You keep having to build the same innovation multiple times, and so it's inefficient. And so that's what we're kind of shifting to more of a software development
Nice.
company to a platform as a service.
And do you think that that is kind of an incoming need to the marketplace, especially with AI that can utilize a lot of these systems? Do you think there's going to be a lot of not even traditional, just custom development companies or software development companies in the industry right now that are looking to shift towards more of that productized solution? Like, is that even a very viable opportunity for a potential business?
It is. I was at a conference a couple weeks ago, and it talked about I met a company that again similar story. I don't think they're as far along as where we are, but again trying to create these platforms and the reusable platforms because the trend that is very obvious is that AI is making software development faster, quicker, etc. And so the idea of having kind of sit down in your typical historical stack of okay, let's get a product manager and a QA person and a developer team and these bigger budgets. People can kind of create these different tools kind of on their own now with some of these AI tools. But they're gonna hit, at least right now, people will still hit a limitation because the AI tools will get you so far, but when you get a certain level of complexity, they're gonna just start scrambling what you're trying to do. Um, but that being said, where I'm finding not necessarily isn't that shift, but when you talk about the small to mid-sized companies, they don't have the budget for a custom platform typically, right? So if you talk about a company with 5 to 10 employees, they're not going to hire a software company to build a custom platform. And so what you find in the industry is what I call app fragmentation, right? So you got your QuickBooks, you've got maybe you have a go high level CRM, and then you've got your Calendly over there, and you got these different your um, uh, maybe you got a Mailchimp or whatever. You have these different apps that you're kind of bouncing across to use these tools, and so I would imagine the average small business probably has 5 to 6, different tools that they're trying to connect together, and each one serves a purpose. But they don't talk to each other. And so you end up with data replication and data that's out of sync and it's inefficient. And so what we've looked at is we've said, okay, well, how do people use Calendly? And we've kind of reverse engineered that. What are people using in QuickBooks that makes sense for the average business owner? Because QuickBooks UI is so bloated and awful. I don't know if people don't really like it. There's too much in there. And so, but what are people actually using? If you look at the Zohos and the go high levels from a lead funnel and a uh, auto follow up campaign, what are people really using there? And so all of these tools are very focused on one part of a business's problem, but they kind of a lot of them have more capabilities than a small business user really needs. And so what we've tried to say is let's start with a kind of an MVP in all of those different areas and move them into one platform and then just evolve through feedback. I mean, I just got off a call right before this with a company that we're using to distribute uh, paint protection film for vehicles. And so we already have inventory. We already have, the product management. And then he brought up a unique use case around, being able to kind of be able to essentially order from himself because he's a provider, and so the system is set up a way. Hey, you can have these orders that you can order from your vendors, but what if you're your own manufacturer? And so, without going into detail, it's like, okay, that's an interesting use case, but based on the platform we already have, we can deliver that kind of custom feature in a couple days because we already have the foundation.
Definitely, yeah. That's a good use case. I like how that ties in everything, and it's more streamlined as well for the business too, in terms of the actual solution, and things are very easy to copy and paste when things are productized and the fulfillment is systematized. And as of right now, obviously you're productizing the fulfillment. Who are you kind of targeting? Similar industries where you were with
Yeah.
custom development, or has the targeting shifted? Are you looking to sell to more of mass, or how does that kind of play look now?
So I've tried various things. I've tried going to again. I kind of travel to the small business expo. If you're familiar with it, they have expos all over the country. So I've gone to some of those. I have a LinkedIn automation service where it's reaching out to people on LinkedIn and so forth. But I think the real kind of focus that I'm trying to do now is to kind of partner up with people that are like fractional CFOs, operational coaches, companies that where their job is to kind of help come in with these companies and improve how they operate because it's hard to get through. There's so much noise out there around the latest platform, the latest CRM, the latest whatever, where you kind of put that out, you reach out to people on LinkedIn, Facebook, Google ads and so forth. It's hard to kind of explain kind of the depth of what we do in terms of the flexibility that we built. And so it kind of bounces off as, okay, this is another CRM. Well, it's not, it's a CRM, but we're almost a consulting service where you can come in and say, hey, we will come in and meet on the call with you. We will kind of understand your problems, understand your gap in terms of your kind of pain point, and say, okay, what are the tools we have in the platform that we can kind of re-coordinate to solve your particular problem. And so it's kind of a hybrid consulting slash platform as a service model that's evolving, where we can kind of get, okay, what features make sense? What features do we not quite have yet? Doesn't make sense to develop? And especially if it's something where it's like, okay, this is a problem we're going to see again, then we'll put it in our roadmap and develop it. So we have this within our tool, an entire feedback section where it's like, okay, here's all the opportunities, here's the features that we can work on, here's what people are requesting. And obviously, the more applicable it is to more businesses, that's what we kind of prioritize on. But
But
that
that
being
being
said,
said, I think
trying to partner with people that are already working with businesses, again, coaches, fractional CFOs, where their job is to help these companies become more efficient. They already have clients, they already have um,
I
uh,
see.
in the
in this
space,
space,
Yes.
the
the
natural
natural
partnership
partnership,
Yeah.
because
is we help
we
solve
help them do what they do, and we get business in exchange.
So yeah, in a way, it's like strategic partnership. So it's like they're actually delivering. So it's almost instead of going out and actually building an in-house team that's just strictly doing marketing, you guys are doing more a
Yeah.
partnership model where the business will actually provide you that, and then I'm sure it's rev share or something in that
Yes.
sense. Okay,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
But a
But
lot
a
of
lot of
times,
times,
again, we'll see
again, we'll
how it
see how it
goes
goes.
as we expand, but ultimately there is a rev share component there, but ultimately this unique aspect of that partnership is they're already getting a consulting fee from these companies. Like they're already making revenue, and their job is to find the platform that helps solve that company's problem. And so if we can be the solution that they offer, I mean, yeah, we'll share a rev share, but it's not like your typical sales organization where you're going to go out and all you care about is getting a commission. Like that's what these people are. They built their business on um, being a consultant to these companies to help them be more efficient. So just having the solution alone is a value add for them. If we could kind of help them, you
definitely.
solve a
Solve the
problem
problem
where a
where
traditional tool out there
Because
doesn't.
it doesn't just help their front end in terms of making money, it helps their back end and building the actual assets and the customer results because you guys are able to close that gap faster for fulfillment.
Yeah,
So it's definitely more of a win-win than a typical partnership that's just
yeah,
rev share or is strictly just kind of commission focused.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the other model that I'm trying to replicate is the biggest client I have, which is the one that actually kind of helped me shift out of the corporate world and launch it, is in the franchise space. So if you look at a lot of franchises, franchises have a unique model, a unique product, unique something that they franchised around, right? You don't you can't create a franchise unless you've got a unique value proposition, right? That's why franchises exist. But many of them don't have tools, so that they basically say, "Hey, you can sell the latest widget or the service or whatever," but then it's go out and buy, here's your list of recommended tools. Well, that makes it harder for a franchise to stand out. And so I built a system around, again, 100 location franchise in the martial arts space, and it handles it standardizes the workflow, it standardizes the products and services. It allows every franchise to kind of operate under the same mode, same, again, product, services, et cetera. But then all the data rolls up. As a franchise, you can actually see, the metrics and the KPIs and the performance because it all lives in one system. And so we're actually working with a franchise now that's in the kind of insurance, financial services space where they've got consultants out there, selling these products and services. And so we built the franchise model into this platform where you can find the communication templates, the reference materials, all that stuff at a franchise level. And then all of the companies inherit it. So you get all the benefits and then they've got some unique workflows. So they've got some unique things specific to their space. And so we're adding some features for them and then also, building in that franchise capability. And there's a huge win for franchises because franchises have scale. And so you can push the subscription fees down to the individual franchise. Or if I want to join a franchise, it's expected there's a technology fee. But what would be better? Here's a platform that's you can turn on and it's already ready to go, and it's a couple $100 to run a subscription. Or here's a Word document of 5 subscriptions you need to go sign up for yourself. And so the franchise wins. And then there's a revenue stream that honestly I would share with the franchisor. So it's a real win-win, I think, all the way around in the the franchise space.
Sweet. I like that. And when did you guys actually face or found Matrix Software? Are you the founder or are you currently
Yeah.
the CEO? Okay.
Yeah. No, I started in 2019. So it's been around for a while. Started it with just a couple side gigs while I was still working in corporate America. Um, and so I chipped away at it for a couple years. Again, small projects, low budgets, did some stuff for some friends, but kind of starting to get the hang of it, learning, the Azure environment and cloud storage and all that kind of stuff. I did it in the corporate world, but, learning how to run your own domain. Um, and then the opportunity came along with the martial arts franchise where my boys trained there. And it was, the basically they were trying to digitize like their events and their scorecards, where they could incentivize kids to attend events. But they didn't have a way of tracking like the points. It was like, here's the process, but do it on PowerPoint or Word or however you want to do. And so I basically talked to the owner where my kids trained and said, hey, I think there's a better way to do this. So I actually built like a digital scorecard system. And then we started adding on um, other features and so on and so forth. Well, turns out they didn't really like their CRM, and the word got all the way up to corporate. And we had a couple conversations around, hey, what would it look like to prove a concept and enterprise system? So I actually worked on that so COVID hit, right? So COVID's the best thing. COVID was awful for a lot of people. It was the best thing that ever happened to me because I didn't have to commute anymore and basically got to work from home. And so I did my 9 to 5, and then I basically worked on my own company, all the other times. And sometimes both at the same time. They don't need to know that. Um, and so what I did is I basically started building it and building these opportunities during COVID. The martial arts, a couple other opportunities basically got my traction. And then when COVID ended and corporate said, come back to the office, I said, no.
Yeah.
The rest is
That's super funny. I like that. And so the initial spark was obviously there because you found a demand. But was it mainly just a factor of you kind of getting sort of sick with corporate world and things like that? Or was it just kind of like, oh, I've always wanted to do my own thing, but just now's the right time? Or how was that kind of flow?
combination of it. So it was the alignment of the opportunity with the martial arts studio to basically give you that first opportunity that was big enough to make it financially viable. Two, yeah, I got tired of corporate. We were going through a reorg, a lot of things just for shorter time I didn't agree with. They were moving away from, so I ran some very successful software development programs there, but there was a big shift in the corporate to move to, SAPs and vendor software and move away from the corporate space. So what I was doing was becoming less relevant there. And then just politics in general of the corporate world, I was just burnt out. And then I lived in Houston. It was a 40-minute commute. It was, would get up at 5 a.m., go spend 10 hours at the office, get home at 6:30, burnt out. I didn't want to go back to that.
I see, definitely. And so as of right now, and now in the position where you're at, the company's been around for about 7 years, 2019. Are you now able to have that kind of time and sort of location freedom that we kind of set out for to begin with in that?
Yes.
Or
Location freedom, absolutely. So I was in Houston, and the area we got very crowded. I actually live in Little Rock, Arkansas. I live on the top of basically about uh, 5 or 6 miles out of town, and I live on top of a big hill on 12 acres, and I look out over a lake. And my commute is from the bedroom to the office every day. And that's it. So that part is fantastic. I'm always home, spend time with the kids, and so forth. Um, I did not anticipate the time even though I don't have that commute, the amount of time I spend on the business I never would have expected it. I mean, it's not going to lie, 80, 90, 100-hour weeks, week after week after week after week. Not
100%.
only do you have customers busy, but you're having to build a team, and then you got billing and, all of the overhead of being that chief everything officer. So, and in the same time, I was trying to stabilize about 5 platforms at the same time. So they always say you got to be the right type of person to start your own business because it's the growth phase is very taxing. And so, yes, I achieved the freedom from the enterprise world, but in terms of time commitment, oh yeah, I mean, there's no more weekends getting away or whatever. It's a huge, but feel like I'm close. Feel like I've kind of made that lump. That business is definitely cash flow positive, and then shifting to this platform model, there seems to be a lot of interest there, and so
Nice.
I don't know about where it goes from here.
I like that. Well, I'm wishing you the best for your continued success, Patrick. I appreciate you jumping on today and taking some time out of your day, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Cool. Yeah. Anybody looking, check out mybusiness.com, and happy to have a conversation. I'm always open.
And what's the company website again? And where can we find you on the internet?
So my main website is Matrix Software Solution. I'll caveat it's a little bit outdated website, but the real focus is on my business workspace. So go to myworkspace.com. That's the platform. That's where I'm putting all my energy in. That's where we can really help businesses, pretty quickly and efficiently. So interested with anybody who's interested in taking a look,
Sweet.
or partners that work with other companies that we can plug a hole.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much again, Patrick.
All right.